Hello, I'm Jeff Phillips with ROA, and I'm here with Rosie Torres. We're in the ROA headquarters in Washington. And Rosie is visiting Washington on the issue of burn pits and associated illnesses that have been contracted among many of our troops, reserve and active component, who've been over in Iraq, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, anywhere where these burn pits were being used, and these burn pits were used to burn up things that had some toxic substances, including titanium, which made their way into the lungs of some of our great troops. Well, Rosie is married to a wonderful American patriot named Rosie Torres, who was a captain in Iraq in 2007, and is one of these service members who came home with a disability due to his exposure to burn pits. By the way, they have a wonderful son who is currently stationed in Hawaii in the Army, so they're very proud of your son, so that's wonderful, Kenny. We were just visited for the first time here at ROA about this issue, and the issue is, as many of them are, several-fold. There's the issue of Rosie Torres, who was a state trooper in the state of Texas Department of Public Safety, left his job to serve his country. He was on the road as a state trooper, very dangerous job, as we all know when you're out on the open road. When he came back with a disability, he had USERRA protection, but through the ins and outs of bureaucracy, he eventually lost his job with the Department of Public Safety. He could no longer be a state trooper, and he was not found a satisfactory position in the department where he could serve even with his difficulty breathing. So we have that issue that we're going to work on with the governor of Texas. We also have the issue, the more broad issue about the treatment of these wonderful veterans, these wonderful patriots who come back with disabilities, and whether or not they're treated fairly by the federal government in connection with the service they provided and the disabilities they've incurred. So Rosie's an expert on this, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about the issue right now, and we just appreciate you being here, Rosie. So tell us, with that background, where did the trouble start?
The trouble started when he returned from deployment and began experiencing respiratory issues. Then eventually was diagnosed with the war lung injury, constrictive bronchiolitis. So as a result of that, he lost his career with DPS after a 14-year
And he loved being on the force.
He dreamt of it since he was a child, would draw pictures when he was small, and just made it his life's mission, aside from the military, to fulfill that dream of his to serve not only our state but our country as well. You know, we've had a variety of challenges as a result of the exposure, both in the civilian and military capacity. You know, losing your job and then having also to fight for benefits on the VA side. I mean, you pretty much have to be a full-time advocate just to make sure that the system doesn't lose you in the process. So I don't feel that whether you're in a reservist component or an active duty, that you have to fight, you know, come back, fight in the war, and then come back to have to fight to keep your job. It's been a huge sacrifice. It's had a huge impact on our lives, on our children's lives, but primarily Leroy. Like the losses he's experienced have been damaging to the point where how do you undo that? How do you undo losing and being stripped of your dignity and the one thing that was your life dream? And so how do you provide for your family? So a lot of these reservists are coming back, National Guard, active duty, but for the reserve component, I mean, that's really just our focus right now, right, is to put that focus on those soldiers that are coming back losing their careers because these agencies aren't practicing these federal laws, and making sure that they sustain their employment.
What specifically would you like to see get done?
In Leroy's case? Or
Leroy's case, and
Leroy's
because
case,
you were here also, you're representing as Burn Pit 360, you're representing.
Right. I'm not just here for Leroy, and I want to make that very clear. You know, we started Burn Pits 360 as a result of the bureaucracy that we faced, both in the civilian and military side. I'd like to see what he originally requested, which is to be on the force as a non-commissioned officer,
And so a non-commissioned officer means
A
in the
non-commissioned
police force
officer,
means what?
right, that you can work in the capacity as an investigator, or, a lot of agencies now have veterans liaisons that handle all the veteran population in those first responder agencies, whether it's law enforcement or it's firefighting, it doesn't matter. But I do know that DPS in Texas has many state troopers that do serve a dual role. So handling those cases of employees should be, it is actually a state law that DPS have a veterans liaison, according to the state
Leroy
law.
would make a great one, I would think.
Yeah, well, it's what he requested. So I'd like to see, him given that, be granted that request that he made initially of working as a liaison or working as an investigator, and be given back what's owed to him after having given 14 years of his career to the state.
Absolutely.
As far as the reserve community, I'd love to see every agency take care of their first responders that serve as reservist National Guard. Be very, embrace those laws, learn them, live by them, and take care of your people, right? I think ignorance is an excuse in the court of law. It's inexcusable. And invest money into training your employees so you're not contributing and to that statistic of 22 a day.
Right, 22 suicides.
22
Right.
suicides a day, right. If you strip them, they come back from war, you strip them from all they know, and the one thing that's providing for their family. We almost lost everything as a result of the negligence. So I'm here today for Leroy and for those thousands of reservists that are facing this.
If Leroy was here today, what would he say?
He'd probably say the same thing. He would say
You guys make a great team.
that he loves DPS, he loves his agency. He'd go back in a heartbeat, and he would also say that if he got called on today to go back to Iraq or Afghanistan, he would be there in a heartbeat.
And his son is,
And our son is in Hawaii, right, and so he's gone to serve our nation as well. So I know that Leroy said, I will advocate until they drape a flag over my coffin, and he would go in a heartbeat to serve our nation again and our state, so.
that's magnificent testimony. ROA, of course, is very interested in this, and we're going to fight. We're going to fight to help Leroy get his job back, his family get taken care of. We're also going to fight to ensure equity and fairness to these people who have served, been exposed to this. As we all know, war is a dangerous game, and some of the most dangerous parts of it are out of the shooting, where things like exposure occurs, and more as we use these different materials in our ammunition, in our armor, and other kinds of munitions, these burn pits and other places become areas that expose us to these toxic chemicals, and it's an area that we really have to move more consciousness about and care for those who served. Rosie, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your family service, and ROA looks forward to being of service to you.
Thank you.